Behold, the banyan tree, ever old and yet ever young. As its branches rise, they cascade down to the floor. As they reach the floor, they root and again grow once more, over and over and over. Oh, what tales they could tell, if only we could hear them. There once was a king and queen. They had but one daughter, Savitri, and they loved her very much. And she became of an age when it was time for her to get a husband. So her father sent out the portrait painters all across the land. And after a while, the portraits began to come back in. Sorry, Father, I can't see anyone here that I could spend the rest of my life with them. I can't see it in their eyes. Some look proud, some look lazy, some look arrogant, some look sly. Well then, my daughter, you take some soldiers, some camels, some elephants, some horses, and you go and visit all the cities of the world. Okay then. So she did. And she returned. I'm sorry, Father. I can't find anybody I'd want to spend the rest of my life with. Well, in that case, take some soldiers, some camels, some horses and some elephants, and go and travel all the jungles and the forests of the world and see if there's anybody there that you want. So she did. Once again, she thought this was going to be a fruitful endeavour until she was on her way home. They were working their way through the jungle as the soldiers cut the path in front. There he was. He was stripped to the waist, cutting branches, all bronze and lean, the sun shining on him. But that wasn't what she noticed. It was his eyes that she noticed. These eyes showed compassion. These eyes showed love. These eyes she could gaze into for the rest of her life. This was who she would marry. She had to do the introduction bit, which was a bit awkward, bearing in mind that she had soldiers and elephants and camels and horses with her. But she did manage to ask him who he was. And his name was Satyavan. And his mother and father had ruled the local kingdom until they were cheated out of it by their wicked uncle and blinded for good measure and sent off to fend for themselves. Satyavan spent his whole life looking after his mother and father. He would rummage in the forest, he would kill for their food, he would sell anything that he could make just to keep them happy. This was definitely the guy she was going to marry. And so, the wedding day came. Oh, it was a wonderful affair. You should have seen it. You think this room's nice. There was gold and magenta and cobalt and jade silks, and they hung from the ceiling and they hung down the walls. And Savitri was dressed in the most beautiful red sari that was embroidered along the edge with pure gold and silver thread. From her neck and her ears hung the brightest gold jewellery you've ever seen. Everything was wonderful, and anybody who was anybody was sent to the wedding. That was how come the local sage was invited. Just before the wedding began, he took Savitri and her father to one side. You can't do it. I'm sorry, Ma, you just can't do it. Why not? Because this is not good. Disaster will befall after this wedding. You can't marry him. It's all going to go wrong. Savitri was never one to shy away from a challenge. She put back her shoulders, she smiled sweetly, and said, "Sage, dear, noble Sage, I'm quite sure that you know a way out of this, if you really can." "Well, you can delay it. You can't put it off, but you can delay it." "Then tell me, please, what I must do." "Well, you must eat nothing but fruit and leaves for 12 months. But then, on the anniversary of your wedding, be assured, you will die." Savitri decided she wouldn't tell her beloved what was going to happen. She'd just do the wedding. And she did. And she had a wonderful time. And the first few weeks were wedded bliss. And then months rolled on and things were wonderful. And she got on with his parents great. And then it got to 11 months. And it was a bit of a little niggle that starts in here with the indigestion. And then the lump that doesn't feel like it wants to go away. And the months turned into weeks, turned into days, turned into the morning of their anniversary. Satyavan was going out cutting wood as normal. Savitri said she wanted to go with him, which was unusual, but he couldn't deny her anything, really. And so they went. It was May, and the heat was already starting to rise. As they wandered, she found a banyan tree, and she sat under its arching leaves to keep cool. And time went on, and the hours ticked by and by, and the hours turned into minutes, and ticked by, and the minutes got closer and closer, and time got faster and faster and faster until she rushed out from between the branches, and there lay Satyavan on the floor, clutching his head. The pain was so unbelievable. She dragged him to the cool of the banyan tree. She laid his head on her knee and slowly went to sleep forever. She looked out between the branches, and there she saw Yama Raj, the god of the underworld, riding his huge buffalo towards her. He raised his mace in his hand, and he gathered Satyavan's soul from the air where it had departed from his body, and he turned around and began to wander off. No, this wasn't happening. She laid Satyavan down beneath the banyan tree and prayed to the banyan tree to keep him safe while she was gone, and she followed. And it wasn't long before Yama realised he'd got a shadow. He turned round and growled at her, but that didn't seem to work. He went a bit further, and they went through deserts, and they went through forests, and they went up mountains, and they went over glades, through glades, and all the time she kept pace behind him. "Go away, woman, what do you want?" "I'm just following you." After days of this, he was getting quite tired and quite tense. And then he had an idea. "I know. I'll sort this one out. I'll give her 3 wishes. It works every time." So he turned round to her and said, "You can have 3 wishes, but you must not wish for the soul of your husband back. Okay? Which one?" "My parents-in-law get their sight back." "Granted, done." "Okay. Wish 2. My parents-in-law get their kingdom back, like they had before." "Granted, done." Wish 3. I have lots and lots of babies." "Granted, done. Goodbye." And off he set again. So did his shadow. are you playing at? I said 3 wishes, you've had 3 wishes. Never being one to step away from a challenge, Savitri rolled back her shoulders, smiled her sweetest, most innocent smile, and said, "Ah, yes, but you gave me a bad promise." "No, I didn't." "Oh, yes, you did. So that means I should have 4 wishes." "I didn't give you a bad promise. I promised that your in-laws would get their sight back. I promised that they'd get their kingdom back. I promised you'd have lots of babies." "Ah, yes. But you see, I can't have babies without a husband. And I'm never going to marry again. So you gave me a bad promise." Even a god knows when he's beat. Okay. He took Satyavan's soul from his mace and handed it to Savitri. She ran as fast as she could all the way back to the banyan tree. Once close by, his soul and his body were reunited. And he started to come round and say, "Oh, it's a bit strange. I had a very bad pain in my head. And I can't remember what happened since, but I feel all right now." "Oh, it's okay, love. A lot's happened since while you've been asleep. I'll explain it all to you later." Behold, the banyan tree, ever old and yet ever young. As its branches cascade to the floor, they root and they grow again and again. What tales it could tell if only we could hear them.